Hi everyone, so today we're going to be making a fruit plait, which is this. So it is a finished fruit plait. So it's a rich bread dough because it has milk and it has egg in it. And it's got sugar and dried fruit. So like I said in the instruction, you don't have to have dried fruit if you really don't like it. And you don't have to add in the cinnamon if you don't like the taste of it. So it can be adapted to take out the cinnamon and the mixed fruit, and you can make a chocolate plait instead, which is really beautiful and really nice this time of year. Because like Christmas, all of the spices come out, all of the dried fruit comes out, and simnel cake is becoming quite popular now because it's Easter. And hot cross buns, so it's really got that kind of hot cross bun flavour to it. But like I said, if you don't like that, then just make it chocolate. So this is what we'll be making, and this is what it should look like. Okay, so first things first is hygiene. So hands washed is really important, and making sure that sides are wiped down. In addition to that, it's really important to get your oven preheated to 200 degrees or gas mark 6. So it's nice and hot when the bread goes in. And then, as I always do, a couple of sprays of antibacterial spray. A little goes a long way. You don't want to gas everyone out with the smell of antibac spray. And then we're ready to go. So, first thing is our flour. So 250 grams of strong bread flour. Now the reason why it's strong bread flour is because it contains more gluten. And what happens is more carbon dioxide bubbles are formed with more gluten strands that are in the flour. You can use plain. Plain still has gluten strands in it, but you might find that it doesn't rise as much, but it will still be successful. So if you can only get plain flour, because I know it's hard to get strong bread flour at the moment, then that's absolutely fine. So 250 grams, and you're going to sieve it into your bowl. So again, like I've told you, we're aerating. So we're trapping that air and we're getting rid of lumps. And then what you're also going to add is 25 grams of sugar, half a teaspoon of salt, a sachet of yeast, so 7 grams. If you've got like a little drum of yeast, then a level teaspoon is fine. And I've got some cinnamon here. You can add mixed spice, a little bit of ginger if you want to. Or you don't have to add it in at all. So I'm just adding in a level teaspoon into the mixture. Then what I've got is 100 grams of mixed fruit. It's up to you as to what mixed fruit you put in there. You might just want to put cherries in there. What I've got is a mixture of candied peel, because I really like that in my Christmas cake. I always include it. I've got coconut and I've got raisins and sultanas as well to add in there. So that's going to go in. Okay, so 100 grams of mixed fruit of your choice, or 100 grams of chocolate. And then you're just going to stir it together. I'm using this spoon because I've used up all of my other spoons for cooking today, because I've made a couple of examples. So that is fine. And then what you're going to do is you're going to add in half of the egg. So you're going to add it to a bowl, mix it up, and you're going to add half. The reason is because you need a little bit for the top. So you're going to brush it and glaze it when you've shaped it. So that goes in. And what I've done is, whilst I was talking, I've melted the milk and the butter, so it's nice and warm. So what you're going to get is like a brioche type loaf out of this. Okay, so it really suits the sweetness of the mixed fruit and the sugar that's in there. So the milk and the melted butter and the egg just add that richness to the dough. And what you're going to do is you're going to use your spoon to start bringing it together. And then once it starts to really clump together, that's when you can get your hands in. So what's really important now, what I forgot to do before I started, was take off my rings. So if you do have any jewellery on, then it's a really good idea to take it off. Place it somewhere safe. And what we're going to do is we're going to do the process of kneading. Okay, so my GCSE students, you'll know about this. My Year 8 students, we've done kneading as well because we've done bread. So what you're going to do is you're going to get a flour dredger, or if you haven't got a flour dredger, just get a little sprinkling of flour onto your worktop. Bring the dough together. And then we're going to do something which is called kneading. So once it's all together, put it onto your worktop. It's natural for it to be a bit sticky. What's going to happen is as you knead it, it will come together more and it will start to dry out slightly. Okay, so it is okay for it to be quite sticky. If it's like porridge, it shouldn't be like that, so you need to add some more flour. So, making sure that we've got enough flour on our worktops, not too much so that we dry the dough out, just got enough to stop it from sticking. And then what you're going to do is you're going to start to knead. So you're using the palm of your hand to push it away from you. So palm of your hand to push it away. And what's happening is that's promoting the stretch of the gluten, which is the protein that's found in wheat. And wheat makes flour. So we're stretching that. And then inside of the gluten strands, the yeast is starting to work its magic. So yeast is a raising agent that's used in bread. It's a biological raising agent. So it's a microorganism. And what happens is when it has warmth and moisture, it starts to grow. So we've got that warmth from the milk and the butter that's in the dough. And we've got the moisture from the milk. And what's happening is, as the gluten strands are stretching, the yeast starts to settle in there and starts to create carbon dioxide bubbles. And then that starts to stretch the dough out, and that gives it its lift and its rise. And by kneading, you're producing that carbon dioxide, you're helping that to work. Okay, so it's a really important process that happens in bread making. So you want to knead for 5 to 10 minutes. If you've got fast action yeast, it will say on the box or on the sachet, kneading for 5 minutes is absolutely fine. If you haven't, 10 to 15 minutes is really important. And what you'll end up with is a really nice, soft dough. So you're going to continue to knead for a little bit longer, and you know it's ready when you push your finger into the dough and it bounces back. That's when we know it's done. Then the second process that's going to happen, which is really important in bread making, is put your dough into a bowl, cover it up with a plate, an oiled plate or a bit of cling film that's oiled, and put it in a warm place for an hour. It's really important because what happens is those carbon dioxide bubbles start to grow and grow and grow, and they get bigger. And it means that we'll end up with a really nice soft dough. So what happens is when you prove it, it doubles. So this is what I made earlier. So it's really soft, really, really soft. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take that out. We're doing something which is called knocking back. So that just means that some of the air that's in it is being knocked out, but that's fine. That's the process that happens with bread making. And it means it's really nice and soft and it's ready to shape. So just a reminder, it's really important to knead for between 5 and 15 minutes, depending on the yeast, and then you're leaving it to prove. Okay, so letting it get lighter and lighter and lifting up that dough. And then what you're going to do is you're going to divide it up into 3 equal pieces. Again, having that flour to hand. Then what you're going to do is get your baking tray and line it. It's really important to line. I've got a releaser cake spray, so it's a grease that you can use, which stops things from sticking. I use it with my cakes as well. And that tin, I thoroughly recommend it. It's lasted for ages. So, what you're then going to do is you're going to roll it out. And you need to make sure that you roll all 3 pieces out equally. Okay, so you want it to be just shorter than your baking tray. So use that as a guide. What happens is, because it's quite elastic, it will bounce back a little bit, but don't worry, that's a natural thing to happen. That means that the dough has been made properly. Okay, so making sure that all of those strands are rolled out. If you need to sprinkle your worktop with flour to stop it from sticking, then that's fine. You shouldn't really need to at this stage, but it's not a problem. Okay, so make sure that they are as accurate as you can get them. And then we're going to place them onto your baking tray. You're going to squish the tops together. Okay, so making sure that they squish, and you're going to tuck it under. Then what you're going to do is you're going to start to plait. Okay, so it is a little bit awkward to start off with. Then you get the hang of it. Then you're going to pinch the end and again tuck it under. So it looks quite small at the moment, but what happens is as it cooks, the carbon dioxide bubbles grow bigger and bigger because they react to the heat. And it will expand, and then you end up with this. Okay, so it does expand and change. Now, to get this gloss onto the dough, we're going to glaze it with egg. So it's really important. So you're going to get some of your eggs. So this is called an egg wash. Like I've said before to you, you can just use milk, but you won't get as good of a gloss as you do with egg. Okay, so the egg just gives that really, really nice shine and gives that professional look to it. Then what you're going to do is pop it into the oven, and it's going to go into the oven at 200 or gas mark 6 for 20 minutes. Okay, if it needs a little bit longer, then leave it in for a couple more minutes. I always set my timer because otherwise I'll forget. With a toddler running around, he'll distract me. And you know it's done when it's gone really nice and golden and glossy, and on the bottom you tap it and it sounds hollow. That's when you know it's done. So that's a successful fruit plait. Enjoy.